Hey, it's Mark Loftus with Post Magazine. We're back at the Post booth here at NAB 2012, and I'm happy to say I'm being joined by Randall Dark, independent filmmaker, HD pioneer, technology, always open to new technology. You're here at NAB. You're always working on something, Randall. What's your first day at NAB been like?
It's a typical NAB, meaning it was a zoo. It was crazy. It was exciting. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
And it's interesting to see the dynamics change year to year with NAB. You know, in the early years there was no high definition. Then all of a sudden it was all high definition, and then all of a sudden it was 3D was everywhere. And then this year's a little interesting. There's not a buzz on 3D like it was 2 years ago and last year. And the big buzz, is 4K.
4K.
And
4K, the cloud. I mean, that's this year's buzzwords. I mean,
and streaming. Streaming is, hello everybody. We're streaming right now. It's a great thing to do.
You work on so many different types of projects, just so our audience can become a little more familiar. You've worked on film work, streaming stuff, I mean, tell us about the content that you work on.
Well, see, my background is, this is kind of funny, my background is theater. I started my career writing, directing, producing theater up in Canada. But as everyone knows, it's so cold up there, you move down in the States and you start doing film. So, I have the desire to get my fingers in everything. So just over the next 6 months, I'm doing a digital cinema festival in China. I'm doing a documentary that is normally documentaries, and Kristen Cox and I just did a documentary in the Dominican Republic about, educating and feeding children. And so it's a very heavy and heartfelt and what I call a social reform type of documentary.
Okay.
And I love doing that, but, some people find those boring. So the new documentary I'm doing is going to be funny as shit. Can you say shit on the internet?
I don't think we're regulated.
Can you beep that out? But it's going to be very, very funny. So I want to do a funny documentary. I've published a couple ebooks. And the other thing I'm working on as a writer, director, producer, 2 independent feature films.
Wow.
We just wrapped a real feature film with Elizabeth Avalon was the executive producer, and Harry Connick Jr. was in it, and Lyle Lovett. But those are what I call the brick and mortar feature films.
Okay.
They're the ones that you get the big names and the big ticket, and they have to go traditional distribution. What I love about the internet and the possibility of doing new things is that with what I call pay-and-play technology through the internet, you can do an independent feature film and bypass traditional brick and mortar and make money. And not just, feed the goldfish money, but what I call crazy money. It has that potential with today's technology.
Right.
So, that's one of the things I'm looking at.
You were telling me a little bit, I know you're based in Texas, Austin.
Yes.
And you're in the process of maybe setting up a production company.
Yes.
Can you talk anything about that? I know it's still in the works. But.
Yeah, what I'm doing now is, building. I'm a builder. I've always built companies, and I've built them in Canada, New York, Dallas, LA, and now I'm in Austin, and I want to build another company. But when you build a company, especially today, companies to me are like family. So it's a very slow process of interviewing people, meeting the right people that you want to work with, and they don't have to be in your backyard as well. So I'm looking at building a post-production facility, soundstage, because I need my own soundstage. I hate relying on the kindness of strangers, going to someone else's environment. We're in the beginning stages of putting together another big company.
Can you do that cost effectively these days?
No, not at all. Thank you for reminding me. You can't, you got to get away from what I call the antiquated business model of putting together companies.
Okay.
It doesn't work anymore. You can't have I remember at one time my monthly nut was like $180,000. That doesn't sound like much when you're a small, independent, high-definition company, but if your profit margins are, let's say, generously 50%, you still got to bring in $400,000 a month.
Right.
That puts a lot of pressure on a rainmaker. So what I love about NAB, I can walk around and I know I can put together an end-to-end production, post-production, distribution company, and that's the key with what we're doing here, a distribution company as well, for a tenth of what it used to cost me. So we're in really interesting times.
From an independent filmmaking standpoint, is that the future? I mean, the fact that you don't have to go through these traditional release...
I hear what you're saying. I think it's an option. I think if you weren't doing something for Discovery or National Geo, it was really tough to be able to go out there and create independent content.
Right.
Now, because of alternative distribution methods and ways to derive multiple revenue streams, which is a key, you've got to be able to not just rely on one revenue stream when you do a documentary or a production. You got to look at how to multifaceted it to such a degree that you get more coming in, because it's expensive doing what we're doing. And now, I'm not saying Discovery's going to go away. They will always be here. It's a great channels and National Geo, and they do fantastic work. But for the independent that doesn't have those relationships or choose to be more in control of what they're doing and how they're doing it, there's ways to distribute, but more importantly, derive a revenue stream and multiple revenue streams, and therefore it may not be crazy dollars, but you can pay the rent, you can buy new toys, you can get out there. You can get out there, like right now, we're going to the world. With a magazine. How cool is that?
Right.
And what's the difference between what we're doing right now and going, you know what, I've got a story I want to tell and I want to control it, and I don't want to have to rely on the rules and games of broadcast television, traditional. I can do it in a different way. That's what's got me really excited right now.
I know you're always very open to new technology because you're not invested in the technology. You're not buying the gear necessarily. I guess it's more of a rental model in your sense, renting the best piece of gear for the job, or... Yeah,
in the early years of high definition, I had to buy the gear because no one was stupid enough to buy it and rent it to me. So I just bit the bullet and just bought it. But nowadays, you depending on what you're doing, and what's cool about NAB, I can walk around it and go, you know what, I can rent that camera for that particular job I'm doing. But what's fascinating is the manufacturers, and bless them, I don't think they realize what they've done. They've changed the playing field. The high-end cameras are still outrageous and doing incredible things, but if it's going on the internet or to the 55-inch TV in your home, I don't need a $150,000 camera.
Overkill,
I can get by with a much more cost-effective camera, an affordable camera, and a different workflow. And it's still, at the end of the day, you look on the internet or you look on your TV at home, and it looks spectacular without having to be the Hollywood budget.
Right. What have you seen here at the show? I mean, you've been looking at 4K way before this show came around. Is it a reality now? I mean, is it kind of, hey, now I can actually go out and get these tools that I've been...
Yeah, it's really entertaining for me, because there's what I call the JVC 4K, which is with all due, I love JVC. They do a great product, but it's a toy 4K. It's a very small camera. It does really cool stuff, and it's very affordable. And then you talk to Canon, and Canon has come out with their 4K camera, and you need a room the size of NAB for storage. The raw footage, and I don't want to misquote Canon, but the raw footage it shoots is staggering. And I'm talking to the hard drive companies and going, you guys are going to be able to, sell tons
of storage here with these new cameras.
Storage is the key to this stuff. And how do you store it? How do you manipulate it? So I think 4K is here. The interesting thing for me is that you got to pick and choose when to use it. It's overkill for certain. Like if we were doing this with 4K, I think it would be a little crazy. You guys would go, we just interviewed Randall for 20 minutes. We've got 80 million terabytes.
Go buy another hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Or just erase it.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by the Post booth, Randall, giving us your insight as to what's going on at the show, what you've seen of interest, and let's keep in touch and share it with our readers.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.